Welcome to the Gearbox Podcast with Jimmy Purdy. We're bringing together industry leaders and those in the daily grind. Whether you're a tech looking to level up or a shop owner navigating the business, or just here for some real talk about the automotive world, we're finding the common ground in entrepreneurship and picking up some valuable tips along the way. So buckle up, let's shift into gear. Before we get started, I want to let you know the Gearbox Podcast is powered by the Repair Shops of Tomorrow. It's our exclusive coaching partner. If you're looking to boost profitability, grow your aero, and streamline operations, our SOT has the tools and expertise to get you there. Shift your shop into the future with the Repair Shops of Tomorrow. So Repair Shop Reckoning is where you've probably heard this man on TikTok. And also owner of Motor City. Now, we were just talking a second ago, you have the auto repair and the collision shop.
Yes.
So the proof is in the pudding. You're boots on the ground. You're in the trenches with the best of them, putting the work in. So all the content you're putting out is not coming from it comes from experience. And in the few minutes I've talked to you before we got on here, it's very clear that you've you've been in it for a long time. So yeah, appreciate you coming on. And I mean, a lot of insightful stuff. And we were kind of talking before we got started about the negativity, man, and like the amount of people, especially with content creators. And I don't know if they're doing it for clout or trying to do it for the clicks, right? I don't know. Like, I don't understand why somebody would want to negatively bash somebody when they're just trying to educate the rest of us.
Yeah, well, that seems to go on a lot. I get a lot of shit from people too, and quite frankly, I don't really care. The proof is in the pudding. I'm successful. I always tell everybody, like, I could shut the door. I put a podcast studio in my collision shop. Bought all my own equipment, and when I'm not making my content, I rent it out. So I rent it out to a lot of other people. We have an engineer, and you come and get a podcast done when I'm not using the studio. And the social media realm is a lot of negativity, and I think you're right. I think a lot of these guys do it. They do a video on something that's negative, and they get a bunch of feedback. So then they just go down the road of, hey, we're going to keep doing negative stuff. Well, my thought is, if you're trying to change our industry for the better, why are we always so negative? Why are these content creators always so negative about everything? I don't, not all of them, but a lot of them are. It's kind of crazy.
It's like controversy sells, right? Like we've known that for
Yeah.
for forever. But we're all in the same boat here, right? Like we're supposed to be all on a team, right? We're supposed to be like building our shops together and like constantly getting better. And then you have the other side of the coin. It's like, oh, I'm not going to give away all the secrets. I had someone tell me one time, I was in their coaching seminar class, and he's got 40 something years of experience, and he's holding these coaching classes and just giving you all the information in a 2-day class. A lot of coaching companies kind of like just give you a crumb at a time, and not to say they're stringing you along, but it definitely, after a year or so, and I'm sure you've done your rounds with coaching companies, but it just kind of seems like they're stringing you along and just giving you a little bit at a time just to slowly move the needle, right? And in my opinion, it's like, well, a sick shop is a good patient, right? And it's probably the wrong way to look at it, but it's just kind of how you start feeling after a while, and then you got another coaching company that's willing to give you all the whole game plan in a 2-day class. And he says, my mom asked me, his mother asked him, he's like, why are you giving away all your information like this? And he says, because I'm going to tell these shop owners exactly what to do, and then they're not going to do it. They're going to go back to their shop, and they're not going to do anything. They're going to pay me to come to my class, and then they're going to go back and do the exact same thing they've been doing. And it's like, it's so true.
No, you're right. And how I do it is I go to the shop for a 2-day sit in. They pay me to fly out there or whatever. I go there. We start at the very front door, and we go all the way through QuickBooks. I make them sign an NDA. We go right through the numbers, their procedures, their policies, everything. I read their P&Ls. We go right through everything. And then I say, okay, the second day in the afternoon, I have a pretty clear picture. I break out a plan, and I say, this is what I think we need to do and how we need to do it. And here's how much it's going to cost you. And you're going to probably have to start out with a 6-month deal with me, because I can't get this all done as bad as it is, in 2 weeks. We can go as fast as you want, but the faster you go, it gets sloppy. When I'm training somebody, I like to go over it 5 or 6 times, because let's face it, you come in here to a shop owner that doesn't really even know what his numbers are supposed to be, and you start throwing a ton of stuff at him, you overwhelm them. So I start out very slow. The very first thing I do is I look at shop culture. We interview all the employees because a lot of times what I realize is when these guys are in a room with you, they're not telling you 100% the truth. There's a little bit of ego. So I always say, okay, I'm going to interview all your guys and you can watch their face. Then you get the true picture of what's going on. And then, you start there. Okay, let's look at your billing. Let's look at this and stuff like that and see how everything works. And that's worked out quite well for us doing it that way. And I'm hands on. I'm the guy who talks to them. I'm the guy who goes through their numbers. I'm the guy that they call if there's a problem. Now, the one thing I do like is a lot of these guys don't have a shopware program or a shop management program. So I get them set up with shopware, which we use at my two shops. So if I'm not around, they can call either of my two shops and talk to any of my service advisors for support during business hours.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
That's helped pretty good. And we can remote right in their computer and help them. So they have support all the time with us. Because I remember probably about 30 years ago, I went through Management Success, and Mike Lee was still alive, the guy who founded it. We went to a 2-day thing in Pennsylvania where they kind of get you all hyped up. And we ended up going to Glendale, California for the classes. And I remember how overwhelming it was for me, not really knowing a lot about numbers and stuff like that. So I kind of take that stuff and I kind of applied it what I've done. I'm probably one of the only guys that actually did what the consultant said for the whole time since we went there. I've never swayed away from paying attention to my numbers, doing my statistics, looking at my P&Ls every week. I do the same thing they taught us 30 years ago. It's kind of
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. The repetition is. I mean, that's what's important, right? Is like doing it over and over and over. That's like that's the biggest thing. And on that, like, I'm sure you hear it a lot if you have a lot of clients. Is like they're looking for the silver bullet, right? How do I fix my shop like tomorrow? And it's like they wait until like, hey, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to pay rent this month. So how do I fix all this now?
Yeah. Well, I will tell you, I've turned several guys away. I won't even work with them. What I usually do, I do a $99 half hour phone call with them and I send them a sheet before we get on the phone call and I have them fill out all their numbers. Then I had them send it back to me before I get on with them and I go through their numbers. And I've had 2 or 3 guys that have actually just lied on their numbers. And I call them out and I go, so according to what you're saying, you're paying your guys $89 an hour? Well, no. I said, well, that's what you put on the paper. Well, your sales are this. Well, that's not right. I said, see, you're already lying. This is not going to work. And I kick them to the curb. I don't need
What's
their
like
money.
what is it like? I just talked to someone yesterday about that. Why do people go looking for help and then lie about their situation? I it's a crazy.
I tell me about it. Um, I want people that want to better themselves. And, I've had the conversation several times where like, how can I afford you? I said, once I get in there and we figure everything out, I'll tell you how you can afford me. If you can't afford me, I'll tell you. If you're too far gone, this is it. We'll do the 2 days and I'll be like, yeah, you probably will shut the doors. Or, you get in there and the guy's got his line of credit maxed out, his credit card's maxed out. And, you call his shop to call him back. Oh, he's out golfing. What? The guy's out golfing. He's broke. You know where broke people go? To work.
to
And he's out golfing.
yeah, there's that other side of like what's your level of success, right? Because we all start businesses and shops to quote unquote be successful, right? I would hope so anyway. Like that's the plan. You don't want to work for somebody, or you just want to be successful. I think a lot of technicians just do it because they don't want to work for somebody because they have the ego that's like the size of a freaking ship, right? And like I can't work for anybody anymore, and they're making all the money off of me, so I'm gonna go do it for myself. And those are the ones that get a really rude awakening, right? They start, and it's kind of sad, like thinking of it that way, because you're a really good technician, but you're a really shitty business owner, and now you don't even want to be in the industry anymore because it burns you out because you just spent the last 5, 6, 7 years learning what business is, right? That sucks. That's a terrible place to end up,
Yeah. Knowing your numbers is where it's at in business. I cannot stress it enough. Knowing where, if you're making money or not making money, that's just the number one thing. And people just flat ass don't believe me. It's just like you have to, it all starts with making money. That kind of leads into you be able to paid vacations, paid holidays. You contribute to their retirement plan, medical insurance, like all that stuff. It all starts at the very top with you as a business owner making money, being profitable. If you're not
Yes.
profitable, but here's the other thing that some of these shop owners don't get. They're super profitable and they take every freaking dime for themselves and don't take care of their people. Then they're like, I can't believe nobody will stay here and everybody hates me. Look at my new Mercedes. Look at my new Mercedes.
That's such an image. It's immature, right? Like that's like the 20s, right? When you just want to you get a job, and the only reason why you get a job is for one to move out of your parents' house, but for two to buy the car that all your friends are going to look at and be like, "Oh man, he's doing so like look at him go," right? But then you make that transition where you're like, "Okay, if I spend this money on my business or on something to make myself better versus buying something to make everyone think I look cool," that's when that maturity comes in, I feel like, right? There's like you start maturing a little bit. And like back to the thing about business is like, what's your level of success? Well, I just want to be able to close my doors and go fishing at 3 o'clock. And it's like, well, then you shouldn't be a business owner, right? Because you can be an entrepreneur or you can be an intrapreneur, right? Where you can you can become like a manager of someone who runs a shop or runs a business, and you can do really well. And then you can have the freedom to actually go do that. Like if all you want to do is on Fridays at 3 o'clock, like shut the doors and go fishing. I'm not sure if that's like you should be in the position of owning a shop, right? Because now you have 5, 6, 7 employees that you're like, hey, we're closing the doors because I want to go fishing, right? Or I'm going to leave and I'm going to go fishing and you guys are on your own. And sure, you can probably set it up to the point of like having it run on its own. But that the absentee owner is another really, was it a hot button, right? Like that's another one that a lot of people in this day and age, and you kind of mentioned before we got on, like the woo woo stuff, right? Like we weren't raised in a shop where we were like, hey man, how's everything going on in your life, right? It's like, hey, so that job's not done yet, and it's only paid 4 hours, and you've been on it 6 hours, so get it done or get out of the shop, right? Like that was our reality. Now we like have to step it back a little bit.
Well, let me go ahead and talk about a couple of things. Number one, the absentee owner. Okay. Let me be clear on this. If you ever want to sell your business to an investment group, which we all have heard people getting bought by investment groups, you have to have a cash flow business where the owner is absent, meaning the owner's taking a big salary, but he's not there on a day-to-day basis. So the investment group looks at it and says, okay, if I buy this shop for $2 million, it's already profitable. The owner's taking 500,000. We're cash flowing 500,000 right now to our investors. So they buy your shop. Okay. If you are a guy that has to be there, boots on the ground every day, all day long, running your shop, where is the value? The investment group comes in and buys you. They have to pay you to stay there and run the shop. Okay, so are you going to sell your shop for a bunch of money and say, okay, I'm going to make $125,000 a year running my shop when I was making 500? Number one. The other part of it, these guys that are so entrenched in running their businesses and not having policies and procedures in place, what happens if you get in an accident or you have a heart attack and die? Okay, everybody in your shop is screwed. Okay, you just ruined a bunch of lives, including your own families, because you're the guy running your shop every day. Me, I have worked my whole career to be able to walk out of my shop and let the people that I pay to do jobs do their jobs. And if you look at my posts when I'm talking, I think it was out a couple days ago, where I'm talking about policies and procedures. Let your people do what they do, and you stay out of the day-to-day runnings of your business. I'm not saying you don't need to be in your business at all, because I go to my business, I do payroll, I pick out the bills every week, what we pay and stuff like that. But I'm not there on the day-to-day decision making. I have service advisors and technicians for that. And I have managers in place. And this is where I got flamed the other day. Oh, I said, if you have a problem at Garrett Auto and Truck, you need to talk to Jason Spencer. If he sees fit that he can't handle it, he'll come to me. If you have a problem at Motor City Truck Collision and you have a problem, go to Jim Gray. If he sees fit, he'll come to me. If not, they'll handle it. So what I've done is, like every major corporation, their structures, right? You don't go and talk to Mary Barra at GM because you're having a bad day and you're on the line. You don't go walk up the ivory tower, knock on the door. Hey, Mary, Bob said this to me. She was like, security. Okay. Well, people were flaming me. Do you make your employees call you sir? Maybe that's a problem. Blah, 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 blah. It's bullshit. Okay. You have to have policies, procedures in place, and you have to have management in place to deal with the problems so you can run the business. You can work on the business, not work in the business. And a lot of people don't get that. They
That's a
just
it's
don't.
a it's a respect thing too. Like the whole calling you sir and all. Like, I mean, they shouldn't have to, but they should want to, right? In a sense, like if you're leading correctly, and like and on that, like I think it comes from technicians that worked for a bad owner, right? A technician worked for another technician because that's what happens. Technicians leave their shop, they go open a shop, and then they hire technicians. Now you have a technician that's managing a technician, right? And so every time that technician decides to leave and go golfing at 3 o'clock, there's no systems in place, there's no processes in place, nobody knows what they're doing, and now they're like, when I open a shop, I'm never gonna leave because I know how bad that feels when my owner used to leave, right? And instead, like in your position, you have managers that are like, dude, get out of my way and let me handle this for you. Like they want that. And I don't think people realize there's a lot of great people out there that want that responsibility for themselves so they can do it. They just automatically put themselves in that point of view and say, well, I was left on my own and I didn't know what to do. So I would never put someone in that position. It's like, that's the most selfish thing I've ever heard in my life.
Dude, I'm telling you, I could tell you right now, and I've argued with people online. I said, call my shops, call them, and say, hey, do you like your owner? Do you like your boss? Okay, my two key guys, I
Ask him
gave,
first if he's in the room.
yeah, I gave my two guys 10%. My two key guys 10% of each of my companies. Made them vice presidents. They get 10% of the profits. So, and people are like, that's bullshit. You didn't do that. I did do that because I wanted them to have skin in the game. I wanted them to be business owners because both of them wanted to be, and I want them to share in the profits with me. If I'm winning, they're winning. So what's the downside for them? Send some people are online going, well, that means they're taking 10% of liabilities. Nope, that's not the way the law works. I
No.
can't make them. He's just shut up. Then another guy coming on there going, oh, so you're saying that their taxes go on their W-2, and he started flaming me. Well, yes, actually they do. They flow through. It depends if it's a C corp or an S corp. It's how it flows through to your tax return. But they always try to find the negative stuff when you do something nice for somebody, or you want to make somebody part of something. It's kind of crazy.
I think it's just ignorance and ego, right? That's what I think. That's like the term where an idiot comes from, right? Is ignorance and ego gets put together because it's like you can be ignorant and that's totally fine, right? Like there's not a problem with that, and you can have ego, like we all do. But man, when those things get combined, it's just you have Facebook.
Oh yeah, yeah, really. And you know what I noticed too? People are a lot bigger assholes on Facebook and Instagram than they are on TikTok in their comments. Have you noticed that?
That's true. Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't. I was telling the guys that this morning. They're like, "Yeah, I seen you arguing with that one guy." I said, every once in a while, I'll pipe up and give a guy a hard time because they're just being completely stupid. So, but I'm not there to argue with people. I'm there to, you know, try to educate people. What maybe if they take one iota of what I say, maybe that'll help their shop. Okay. I started my podcast just wanting to kind of let people know, be aware of what's going on in our industry and from the number standpoint. Because how many guys are really on TikTok, Facebook, or Instagram talking about what I'm talking about? I don't really run across them.
It's it's a small group, and I mean, like you got to let the algorithm do its thing, and once you start surrounding yourself with more like-minded people, you start seeing a little bit more of it, right? But what I've noticed is, and my thought on that is, if there's one person reading that's not commenting, so if I can post something that I've seen work in my shop, that I've made my mental shift and how I use something new, and I can post that and one person reads that and can take it back and like change their shop. That's what I'm doing it for. Like I know there's people reading that aren't posting. But on that, I've noticed the more negativity I get on my posts, the more right answers that I have, right? I feel like for a long time there was a lot of like agreements and we're all in the same boat and we're doing this thing together. We're technicians, we own shops down, we're on the grind and we're making it happen. And there was a lot of camaraderie with that and it was great. And then as soon as you start breaking away from that pack and you start looking at more of a business owner and you start making business decisions and saying this is what I need to do to take care of my customers because that's what takes care of my people, that's when the flames come in. That's when they're like, man, you're wrong, there's no way. And then I do the same thing you do, I look them up, right? We had one about marketing. There was a big post about marketing. I never market. I don't need to market. People in my community know me, and that's how word of mouth is the only thing I'll never have to market because that's how good of a shop I run. Like that's the wildest thing I've ever heard in my life. And then you look them up, and there's like 100 Google reviews at 4.5, right? And then you look, and then I do a little search, and it's like, oh, there's a Google Ads business. That's crazy. That's a Google Ads. Like So you're lying.
Yeah, right.
Oh
And
my god, what like why would you lie about that? Like why do you like what's with the ego of like I don't market, everyone knows what a good job I do, I don't need to market. And you just do a quick incognito tab like look in that area and sure enough there's a Google ads that pops up and man, and you're not doing a good job either because you're not that high on the map pack.
yeah, you know what I do when they start really giving me a hard time and arguing on my posts, like there's some great business owner and stuff like that, which I could always learn something from somebody, either right or wrong. I say, let's
Absolutely.
do a Facebook Live or let's do a TikTok Live and we'll debate all this. Because anybody could sit there with Chat GTP in the background, ask what numbers should be here, what numbers should be there. Like, I asked the guy about marketing. We were
Mm-hmm.
on a phone call, and he's like, 10% of your growth should go towards marketing if you're trying to grow. If you're not trying to grow and you want to stay stagnant, do 3 to 5. But these guys don't understand that when you're busy, you're 3 weeks out, you need to dial your marketing back. You're just wasting money. You're marketing to people you're going to bring in and disappoint. There's
Yeah.
there's a whole algorithm to this. People just don't get that, and that's where you need to have people running your shop doing the day-to-day stuff so you can go out there and look and say, okay, I have 45 vehicles here. We're a month out. I need to pull out $2,000 worth of Google's ads because I'm wasting money
Yes.
and knock it down.
Yeah.
I do that. A good resource for me has been Fiverr. Uh, you could get anybody to do Google ads, Google or Facebook, Google, pretty much whatever you need to do. I have a guy on Fiverr that does my Google ads. I'm not going to sit there and do Google ads. I'm going to pay somebody to do Google ads.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell him dial it down, dial it up, and stuff like that with one message.
Yeah,
So
and that's and not that I was blanket statement the whole advertising thing because it's different. It's different as the years roll on, right? Like for me, I'm still growing, right? Like I put a lot into marketing, and there might be months I'm at 10%, there might be 12%. I might find some cool fundraising stuff, and my marketing budget for that month might go to 20%, right? I'm just getting out in the community, and if there's anything I can do to give back to the community, that's what I'm doing. And yeah, I call it marketing. It is right. Um,
yeah, absolutely.
but then as you get more established, like you can dial it back, and so there's different layers, right? And so to have anyone tell you that there's supposed to be a standard, I think is BS. I think it gives someone somewhere to start with. When we started, it was like make sure your marketing budget stays 4%, 6% if you want to grow. I don't know. You look into HVAC, and HVAC is the same thing, right? Like all businesses use the same numbers when it comes to like a standard, but it's all different too. How long you've been established, how well you are in the community, like all that how big your community is. But the point is you have to market. Like you have to spend. There's some dollars that you need to spend. In my opinion, at least, you have to spend some money to get your name out there to get people to call the phone.
I would agree with everything you said except for one thing. Okay, so here's the problem with not knowing exactly how much you're going to spend on marketing. And I know that's not what you just said, but here's the thing I always tell
No, I get what you're
people:
saying. Yeah.
you have a dollar bill. You only have so much to spend of that dollar bill, and you need to keep a quarter of it, or 20 or 25 cents of it, right? My point was to that when I was going with the marketing is with the 10% standard. A lot of these guys don't even know what they're making.
Yeah.
So you're
That's yeah.
losing money, and you're like, well, I want to support the softball league. I want to do this. I want to do that. And all of a sudden, you're digging yourself deeper in a hole with marketing. And
That's a
it's
great
not. I
point.
understand
Great
it's
point.
not a
Yeah.
zero. It's not a zero sum game,
Right.
right? If you're doing good marketing, what are you going to get? You're going to get good leads. So it's just again, it goes back to the numbers. If you knew your numbers were good enough, you knew that you could spend 15, 20, 30% on marketing and get more revenue and build a shop because you know where your numbers are. Absolutely. I agree with you 100% there. Motor City right now, the standard is 10%. I said right now I'm spending like 29% on marketing. I got radio ads going. I got Google ads going. I got Facebook ads going. I got all kinds of stuff going. And the reason I'm doing it is because I'm brand building. Garrett Auto and Truck's been in business for 60 years, 65 years, I think. Motor City's been in business for 15 years. It's really tough to have the penetration we do down in Farmington Hills because everybody knows we're the most expensive shop, but we fix everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Motor City is a whole different ball game. Our keywords, right now it's costing me $40.83 for a phone call from Google because the keywords are so high around Brighton area. It's a collision. Down in Farmington right now, it's $19.82 per phone call. That's a big difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that comes into play.
But I think the one thing I picked up on there is 15 years, and you're still spending that amount in marketing. And that's a really key point there, right? Some of these guys have been in business for 5 years, and they think they're veterans, and they don't need to market anymore. Oh, my phone's ringing off the hook. I'm so busy, I don't know what to do with it all. And it's been 5, 6 years. Man, you can go down to your local Walmart, and I guarantee 90% of the people there aren't going to know who the hell you are. But they walk around beating on their chests because they're 2 weeks out, right? And they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm the man. Everyone knows me." It's
Do
like,
you know that my son, who started working for me, he's graduated from high school and he started working for me. I've been teaching him the numbers. I can call him at any time now and go, "Hey, how many vehicles do you have in the shop?" He'll give me that number because I already know the number. I look on Shopware all the time. We usually run it geared on a truck. We usually have 42, anywhere from, actually, probably lately it's been from like 36 to 45 vehicles on site all the time there. Motor City runs between 15 and 20 vehicles all the time. So I kind of do know all them numbers, and I've been teaching him all them numbers. And why is that? Because you can kind of see the trends coming, right?
hmm,
And a lot of people don't pay attention to all that stuff. And I want to transition into. Have you seen any of my AI stuff I've been
no,
working on?
uh,
So I went to a class because I think AI is the future, and I learned
absolutely, absolutely, it is. Yes.
how to build private GPTs. So when you use Chat GPT, it's an open AI. So basically, you go out there and ask it a question, it just gives you the answer. When you build a private GPT, I could actually tailor it to your shop, have it write the way you want, do your stuff the way you want. Like, for instance, my service advisors can just talk to the microphone at their computer. I have a 2018 GMC Denali 2500 6.6 Duramax, and it give me the oil capacity, oil type, all the fuel filter numbers, and the uh, oil filter numbers. And I have mine set up where it'll give me all that, and it'll cross all the filter numbers into all the different manufacturers.
Nice.
Why did I do that? That saves my guys so much time.
Mm-hmm.
My technicians can talk into a microphone and it writes out their stories and they copy and paste it into their programs. So we have sped up and we don't have grammar problems, punctuation problems, spelling problems. Everything makes sense. So my service advisors don't have to rewrite it. That has sped up everything by tenfold at my shops. So what I
Yeah.
started doing now, if you call me and you say, "Hey, can you build me a private GPT for my company?" I could build you one. Like mine, I just built into it now that on Friday or on payroll day, when my service advisors say, "I need an efficiency report," it says, "How many hours did Bob work?" You tell how many hours did Bob produce. Tell it, and you go right down the list, and it gives a report, and we give it to the technicians on their efficiency. Hey, this is what expected from you. What happened here? So the AI thing has really sped up my shop to the point where it's like, holy shit, it's nuts.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We have a tech translator GPT, so the text can just do something blurb, and the advisors can read it. We have, I don't know if you're familiar with Detect Auto, but we use
Yeah.
Detect Auto a lot, and we just, it'll generate questions, and then it'll add a whole little summary of an AI summary of what's going on. To talk about numbers, I've been using. I just go through my bank account, and I'll just copy, cut, paste the whole month, and I'll put it in chat and say, find, break everything down into percentages. Where did all my money go? And it'll just tell me. And it's I've started building one too where it'll start learning, and it starts to tell me, okay, your payroll went up a little bit, or this went up, or this went up. It's wild. And then you can just see the percentages, and you're not like digging through each transaction. You're just like, find the red flags, find something that was spent more, this month than the last couple months. And then boom, this went up a little bit. What happened here? And I'm like, oh, there we go. Then I can, chase that.
Yeah. So you're you're the first person that I've talked to that has a sense to do that. I build one that I have one that I have a knowledge base in, so it already has 2024 year to date P&L already in it. So I drop this year's in. I say, "Tell me what's going on, where are the trends going." That
Oh,
used to
that's
take
smart
me
too.
like 3 hours with
Yeah.
my calculator. It literally takes 3 minutes, and it gives me a summary at the bottom.
Yeah.
It, my wife Auto Value decided they're going to change their accounting system and they don't have anybody that's qualified in there. So we pay our Auto Value invoices weekly. Well, if we mail them a check and we don't tell them what to apply it to, they don't even have the sense to, they'll just apply it to anything. So my wife, if she pays 40 invoices, she'll write a spreadsheet where they're supposed to go. And she was Miss I Hate AI. Well, I said, let me write a GPT where you can dump the numbers in there and it'll write your spreadsheet for you. That'll never work. I said, let's just try it. After the third time, because it was the first one I did, she's got a GPT now. She drops the numbers in. Within 3 minutes, she has a spreadsheet to send to the auto parts store. That used to take her 45 minutes.
It's crazy.
It's insane. So I got all these little crazy GPTs I've written for doing all kinds of different stuff. Right now, I'm working on a API to talk to Shopware, so I can pull out my GPT for Garrett Auto and Truck and ask what numbers are for the day and everything, and GPT will tell me. I don't even have to go into Shopwares anymore.
Wow.
So they're
That's
doing
pretty good. I
that.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a guy that my friend of mine. He owns a web company, and he has his guys building out the code for that. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a few that are shared that I get into. There's like a sales pitch for the advisors, right? So it's like, hey, I need to sell this water pump, or even better than that, hey, we diagnosed this vehicle and it didn't fix it, and now it needs this, and then it'll give a whole script of like, and it'll even come back and say, say what the customer's going to say, and like, because it's all the same, man. People say the same things, right? They're upset, and then they're not upset, or whatever. I thought people just have the same reaction, right? So the chat can very easily find that and then give you all the objections and give the advisors a script to play off of. So they're not just like emotionally calling this person, right? So I found that to be a big problem, right? Is the advisors calling? It's like, just read the script. Like, I mean, you can have a personality, but like, here's your backup so you can like keep your mind focused.
Oh yeah.
So we
So
use a lot for that too.
yeah, well, I when I built my GPT for Garrett Auto and Truck, I'm in version 1.3 now. I have it now where it puts the DOT 390, the CRF 393 qualifications in on everything. Like for instance, if you're fixing a light trio on a truck for a DOT, it'll say to stay in compliance with 393.11, this repair has to be done. So I loaded all the FMSCA data up into this GPT, so it references it. So I have all the laws. So with the fleet companies, well, why do we need lights? Well, it's the law. Here it is. Here's the law. So that's helped us to stop having to argue and try to sell DOT repairs.
I like that too. I've been trying to build one with common repairs. See, something comes in, right, and this kind of segues into what I want to talk about too, about like the diagnostic side. But something comes in and it's got a water leak, and it's a Chevy pickup, right? It's probably going to be the water pump. So like, start adding in this stuff like Subaru, it's making a noise, it's, in the back, it's probably the wheel bearings, right? Like these common failures, because vehicles all break for the same thing, right? It's like, it's pretty typical that you have the same repair on these vehicles. Typically 90% of the time it's going to be the exact same thing on the same car, right? Especially in like different areas, like in your area compared to California, like we're gonna have little differences there. But that's what the next one I want to build. That way, something comes in, the advisors can click in, got this noise. Oh, these are the common things that fail, and that gives like a spreadsheet, and have the advisors go out there and actually look and verify if any of those are broken before it actually gets dispatched to a technician. That way, the technicians are only focused on the highly skilled stuff or like the highly profitable R&R jobs. That was like my next thought. That way, because there's a lot of talk about free diags, right? And you probably love that. I can tell by some of your posts you're really into that stuff. But it's again, it's another nuanced thing. It's not like a blanket statement. Like I'm not coming in and doing like a CAN bus diagnostic that takes 3 hours for free. Something comes in and it's got a noise in the back. I'm like, it's a Subaru, it's probably a wheel bearing. Let's just get on the rack real quick and spin the wheel. Yeah, it's a wheel bearing. Or I'll drive around the block. It needs a freaking wheel bearing. So and the same thing with like coolant. Like, let's get it up. Let's do a quick inspection, and it's very easy to identify that the radiator has a huge crack. Or here's a good example. I have a Toyota Corolla come in for a misfire on cylinder 4. It's like there's like 15 codes in it because it's a 2016, right? Like, so it's got all the codes in the world because one cylinder is misfiring. Pop the hood and the harness is chewed. It's like right there. So like, do I charge for a diagnostic on that? Even though like she called and like we try to vet them and like, oh, it's got a misfire and you got multiple codes, that definitely needs to go to a level 2 diag. Like, no, stop doing that. Let's just bring it in and see what it. Sure enough, it's a chewed wire and turned into a $1,200 repair, right? So it's not like a black or white. Like, is it always no? Like sometimes something needs to go into an advanced assessment realm, sure, but how much of that can we catch on the front end? So it's like, maybe if I build a GPT to like start heading some of those off, that's more vehicles that we could get through the process faster instead of waiting on a tech to finish a 10-hour job. Like, hey, I got this car coming and it needs an assessment, so we're waiting on this tech to diag it, but he's in the middle of a 10-hour job. I'm not pulling him off of that. We're gonna wait. Now we're waiting till tomorrow when all comes to come find out it's just a chewed wire that we could have ordered that harness the day before, and get in. So that's the direction I've been moving, thinking a lot about. But when you say free diag, then everyone lights you up on the internet, and you're like, hold on a second, like there's a lot more to this to unpack.
Yeah, well, here's the problem with the GPT memory, like you're talking about. Right now, it's not supposed to come out till 6 or 7. Where it'll retain information in the GPT. The only way right now you could get it to is you could point it to an API through Google Docs or something like that, or you would have to update your knowledge base. Like you would have to do a parsed or a spreadsheet or a document. They call it a knowledge document, right? So
Mm.
every day you would have to go into Word, type it in, re-upload it to the GPT. The problem we're running into is right now you only can put 20 documents in.
Mm.
So
Okay.
you have to do a PDF compiler where it'll put like a bunch of PDFs to one. There's free websites to do it. So, because I was thinking about this very same thing you were talking about, I called my programmer friend, like, how can I get this thing to retain memory? He's like, it won't yet. It's something that's coming, but it won't do that yet. So he's like, if you want to do it, do the knowledge base. And that's why I did the light knowledge base, filter knowledge base and stuff like that. Then I ran into, okay, I have over 20 documents. I can't put no more documents in it. Shit, what do I do now? So I'm learning this type of stuff. But for the diagnosis, for the diagnostic work, okay, there's a post the other day where I said something about doing diagnostic work, and a guy said, oh, it was flat rate. He said, I'm the diagnostic guy and I can't make a living. Let me tell you what happens in my shop where I work. He says, I get a vehicle that's been at every shop in town and it comes to me and it takes me 2 days to figure it out and I don't get paid. And I responded back, that's because your leadership sucks. And then he's like, well, what do you mean? Well, my thought is you said 2 days to figure it out. That's 16 hours, right? If that vehicle's been at two shops already, your service advisor or whoever's in charge up for the owner, whoever should have looked at him and said, okay, we're going to start out with 8 hours diag on this vehicle. If the customer says, no, I'm not paying for that, chances are they're going to say, I have no more money. I've gave it to everybody else. I'm sorry, sir, but we can't work for free. You understand. There's a way to offload them, right? Why would you not charge somebody 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours when you know it's been everywhere in town? Go, hey, listen, we're going to start at the very beginning of this whole problem. Let's get the whole story and go through here. Then we're going to have to figure out what they replace on this thing. You have your receipts. There's going to be a lot of work that goes into this, and sell it up front. That way the guy that's working for doing the diagnostic work's not losing. What are you going to do? If you're a shitty business owner, you're scared to lose some money, you're going to go, hey, we're going to charge you an hour, and we're going to expect a guy to come to work and work on it all day today and all day tomorrow, and hopefully he fixes it. What?
Your most expensive guy on the payroll too.
Yeah, how is that? How does that make any sense? And the problem is that's policy, procedure, and training. My people have no problem looking at somebody and going, hey, this is what's going to go on. If you don't understand, if you can't afford it, we understand, but this is where we have to go with it.
I,
Now,
I think you're right. I think it's fear. Yeah.
and the other thing is you talked about we triage vehicles. So a lot of times my guys, when something hits their board, they have 48 hours to triage it. What does triage mean? Well, if they got a freaking, we'll just say, Chevy pickup with a water leak or coolant leak, and they're waiting for parts. They do this, they do that. They walk over, pop the hood, look at it. Yep, the water pump's leaking. They'll freaking go up there, write it up, and send it to the service advisor. Okay, just go on with their day. That's the kind of stuff that I think that's when it comes to tech training. These guys all cry about flat rate, right? You can't make no money doing flat rate. You can't do this. A lot of it's time management, which a lot of these guys don't understand that. Like I was trying to talk to these guys about having an organized toolbox. Oh, my toolbox is the most messy toolbox ever. I have screwdrivers and wrenches in every drawer, and it does not slow me down a bit. Bullshit. When you're digging for something in your toolbox, some of these guys are making 75 cents a minute. Did they ever stop to think about that?
Mm.
Right? You spend 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day, 2 hours a week, whatever, looking for a tool.
And
They
that's
don't,
and
they
that's
don't get
and
that.
that's $2.50 a minute for the shop owner,
Right.
right?
They don't
And
get
we're
all
not
that.
making that's not going in our pocket. It's just going into the shop to pay for the trips, pay for the snacks in the fridge, pay for the bonuses and all that other stuff. So I mean, yeah, for their own flat rate, but at least the flat rate gives them the incentive to think on that side of the coin, right? Because if it's hourly, it's like, well, I get paid the same no matter what, right? And that's where the flat rate comes. It's like, well, if you put them on flat rate, then they start understanding that their time is worth money, right? And that's what the problem is. They don't think their time is worth any money. They're just like, I'm just here to get a paycheck. Well, that person, they just need to leave. They just need to get the hell out of the shop, right? Like, so I think the idea with flat rate is to hopefully get their mentals shift over a little bit. Like, okay, now you need to understand that, like, if you're more efficient, you make more money, and that's the bottom line. Maybe, and I don't want to poke the hornet's nest here, but maybe spending 2 hours on a diag means you suck. Maybe you're just not that great of a tech, right? Like, like
You should pretty much have
there's
an idea
that
where
too,
you're
right?
going. I would
What's that?
agree. You should have an idea where you're going for sure within 2 hours. Now, I will tell you, we do for diesel pickups and anything medium, we do 2 hour diag on diesel check engine lights. Why would you do that? Because a lot of times it takes us 2 hours to get to the bottom of the codes and start reading what's going on and stuff like that on these bigger trucks. And nobody complains about that really. And I tell my guys, like, listen, if we could fix it in the 2 hours, if you get in there and pull the code and find a broken wire, fix a broken wire, say, yep, we got in there, we pulled the codes, we went to do the pinpoint test, we found the broken wire, we fixed it, and you're all set. If we could fix it in the 2 hours, we will fix it. We won't be like, and now here's the other thing. We get an hour per concern when you bring it to our shop. If we could fix it in that hour, we fix it. Well, wait a second, Kevin. What if it takes you 15 or 20 minutes to fix it? We'll knock it down to a half an hour. We're not there to kill people. We're there to get paid for our time.
Yeah.
You can be fair. You don't have to be a crook every time, right? If
Right.
it takes you 10 minutes, you fixed it, charge them a half hour or whatever, because that's probably technically, if it took you 10 minutes, you went out and test drove it, you pulled it, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's kind of the way we do it.
Well, and there's the GP side of it too. So I mean, you should be reselling your labor for your 60% margin, your 120% markup, right? It's just like parts. So yeah, even if it took only 30 minutes, like realistically, if I mean, who takes an hour to do a brake job? But we still charge the hour, right? Because that's the standard. So why isn't that with diagnostic? Why aren't we taking the time that we use to diagnose these vehicles and doubling it or adding 60% to it? Because we should be. Or the diag rate needs to be a lot higher, right? It needs to have a recovery factor, right? And that's one thing Vin Waterhouse, man, like 15 years ago, drilled into me, was having the recovery factor, right? Or the labor intensive rate, right? And it's like, so we do 2 hour minimum because it should only take an hour, right? The diag tech should have it figured out in an hour, and we're going to charge the 2 hours because that's the recovery rate. We're not selling any parts, so I got to, I mean, it's a pretty fair thing to do when you're trying to operate a business and make everyone be profitable. But to your point on the other shop owners, it's like they're just going to run it for 2 hours and only charge an hour. Like, yeah, there's no money to pay that guy. Why would anybody want to? Why wouldn't everyone just want to hang control arms? Right? Like you get 6 hours to do control arms, you get it done in an hour and a half. Like, of course, that's what I would rather do that than diag, chase down a circuit code.
Well, let me tell you, this goes back to what I said at the very beginning of the podcast. I truly believe that these guys don't know what the stuff costs. And I've said this before. How can you sell something if you don't even know what it costs you? So these guys aren't even knowing how much. These guys don't know what their effective labor rate is. These guys don't know how much they're making on their techs. A lot of these guys don't know their numbers. So if you don't know your numbers, what does it matter to you if a guy's out there working 1 hour, 2 hours if you don't even know how much it's costing you? You
Yeah.
don't care. Ignorance is bliss, really. You've seen
Mm,
it.
yeah.
The funny thing is, all the guys in my area, all the shop owners in my area, my competition, we talk. They ask me questions. One called me the other day. Hey, what do you do about this? I tell them. Why the hell wouldn't I? I'm not going to be like, well, that's a secret, because my thought is, if he starts doing it the way I do, and the other guy starts doing it the way I do, at that point, the customers all in our area get trained. Okay, we take a 50% down payment on all jobs. Why do you do that? Because a lot of times what we've realized is, what I've realized over the years, number one, it helps cash flow because these jobs are huge now, right? Number two, we figure out who has money and who doesn't. I know that that's a business thing, right? If you don't have the $2,000, which is half the four, you don't have the four. So you expose these people that don't have the money. You don't end up with cars sitting in your parking lot that these people can't pay when you put $4,000 worth of work and parts and everything into a job. They want to, at that point, they want to start discussing payment terms.
Right.
We send them a link.
And
Pay
then
half.
but you can't take that for verbatim, right? Like maybe you're not, maybe someone's listening, they're not doing heavy line diesel, and their average ARO, their ARO is like maybe 500 or 600. I mean, you don't need to take 50% of that. Like that's not like a blanket term verbatim where you're like, oh, because Kevin said I should take 50% on the job, then I should probably take 50% on my job. Well, no, if your ARO is like $500 or $600, like just do the job. Don't be asking for $250 on a $500 brake job, unless you
Believe
have some serious cash flow problems, I guess. But you know what I'm saying?
I do it at both shops. and I do at the collision shop. Some of these are 15, $1,600 and they give me $800 down. And I do that solely. It's not necessarily, yes, it helps with cash flow at the diesel shop because some of these jobs are $50,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yep.
but at the collision shop or the trailer shop, we do it because we want to see if people have money. Let me give context. I don't want to work on a guy's trailer and put the money into it after I told him it's not worth it. And he talks me into doing it, that he doesn't have the money to fix it. We've all been there. So by doing it that
They
way,
say, "Oh, don't worry, Kevin, you can keep it." Like,
well, the problem is we had a semi truck over at Motor City. The guy got hit and he didn't want to fix it. I got stuck with it. I think I had like $3,000 worth of costs to get rid of this thing for the lawyers and everything and the mechanics lien and all this bullshit. And they had to come out and auction it off in Michigan. And I think I actually lost $300 getting rid of the truck. So
that is something too that I don't think a lot of people understand. Is like we all get it, right? The vehicle comes in, trailer comes in, truck comes in, and all of a sudden they don't want to fix it, and they just ghost you, right? And you get, oh, and they was like, oh, that's cool, you got a free car. Like, no, it's not free. I don't want this thing, man. And being transmission specialty for a long time, I got it for a long time and come in easy transmission, and they would just leave it. Oh, I'm not spending $6,000 on that. Yeah, I'm just gonna bring you the title. You're like, I don't want it.
I have a 6.0 truck right now. The guy brought me the title and we turned it away. And I wish my guys would have kept the title now, but I got the truck now and I can't get the guy served. The mechanics liens up. It's a freaking disaster. And I got this truck sitting there. I have another truck sitting here. The company went bankrupt. EV company went bankrupt. I've had the truck sitting here for 4 years. I can't get rid of it because they never transfer the title out of the original owner's name into their name. And I can't find the original owner. So I'm
Nightmares.
stuck,
Yeah.
so, you know, I came up with the deposit thing a while ago, and we started having a hard time after COVID getting people to pick up their stuff and all that, the deposit thing. And then I kind of morphed into, well, wait a second here. They didn't have the money to pay the deposit. Then I'm like, wait a second. That's probably a pretty good policy to put into place. And we've done that. It's kind of worked out well for us because the very few people that don't have the money, we've exposed them and they pick the vehicle up and we don't have to deal with it. It's kind of like a time thing. Protect your time. You know what I mean? Nobody
Yeah.
wants to sit there and fill out paperwork for the state. You don't cross that T, then they send it back. Then it takes 2 weeks for you to send it back. You know what I mean? It's kind of a waste.
It's a good way to get in front of the curve too. And this is after the inspection. Of course, you do your inspection, you find the problem, and then you're calling back to sell the job. And then once it's sold, you're picking up the deposit. Or are you doing it up front as like a retainer before the vehicle comes in?
No, I had thought about a retainer, but I don't think I can get away with it. I'm not a lawyer, but we have talked about that with our big fleets, a retainer, because some of these big fleets want to get into you if you're 100, 150 grand. It's like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah, no, that's
So
crazy.
Um, but what we do in our shop, we bring it in, we diagnose the problems. We do not waive diagnostic fees. We do not waive them. You sign for them, you approve them. We write what we find, then we write what repairs needed. Then we send that for approval, right? Uh, at that point, if your estimate comes out to $2,000 or whatever, I think at Garrett's now we actually changed it last week. I forgot to say this. Anything over $2,000 requires a deposit now.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so at Garrett's, at Motor City, everything gets half down, period. Just it's the type of work we do, type of people, it is what it is. But at that point, we'd say, okay, here you go. You already approved the diagnostic fees. That's out of the way. But okay, you need $1,500 worth of repairs. You can pick and choose, decline or approve what you want to do. At that point, if it falls under the 2,000, they give us the approval. They sign initial each one. We do the job, right? And go from there. Kind of
Now
pretty
when it,
much like everybody else.
now when it comes to like the diagnostic, we kind of touched on that a little bit. Now, if something comes in and it's a quick and easy checkup, like how does that? Do you immediately push everything into a diagnostic category, or are you inspecting the vehicle at a no cost, or how does that look for the customer?
Explain a little bit more. Give me an example.
Something comes in, someone calls on the phone. Hey, I got this noise going on with my brakes. Um, do they come in for an inspection, or are you doing like a brake, like a diagnosis for the brakes, or say check it? Hey, my check engine light came on. Are you going right into like a level one assessment with that, or is that something you come in, pull the codes, and then pay the tech to check the codes, of course, but not charge the customer?
No, I do not do that. And I've heard online too. I won't even get into it. These guys say it's good marketing. Yeah, no, I'm not going to go ahead and make my tech work for free. Nope. Every concern is an hour. Now,
So you have a minimum charge to get into the shop.
yep, it's 1 hour. Now, a lot of times a guy says, "Hey, I just bought this truck. Will you check it out?" We're like, "Yeah, we'll just do a DOT on it," which is that's the most thorough inspection you could do, right? So
Yeah.
we just charge it for a DOT inspection. At that point, we take an hour and we look over the whole thing, take a look at it. If we need to pull the wheels off it, we'll be like, "Hey, we need to pull the wheels off it," because we're not going to sit there and pull wheels on and off these trailers and trucks and stuff like that for free. I don't expect my guys to do anything for free, period. I don't. And if I say, hey, go out there and look at this guy's truck and have Phil open repair order, Lincoln open repair, and give you half an hour, I'll pay it. Put it to the shop category. We have everything in categories in my shop.
Yeah.
So if my guys do work for me, I say, hey, I'm going to pay you half an hour to do that. It goes into the Garrett Pace category. So I can see how much money I pay the guys a month to help me
Oh, that's
out.
a smart way to do it. I never thought of doing it that way. On the category, like the summary for a shopware report.
Yes,
Okay.
you could build your own categories. So I
Right.
have
Right.
everything in my whole shop has a category it goes
Right.
into.
Yeah.
I know everything, and that way, and I actually have warranties in the categories too, and I have comebacks in the categories and stuff like that. Um, but I don't expect my guys to do anything for free. And my boss Hal, that I started with years ago, he started doing that. I mean, when I used to be on commission, he'd be like, "Hey, put this coolant temp sensor in," and I would walk away and be like, "And?" I'm like, "And what?" He's like, "And you want X amount of time for doing it? You're not here for free. I'm not here for free." And he made me write him up a piece of paper back then, and he would pay me for it. So I often thought to myself, that's 100% true. I am not going to be that shop owner that says, hey, buddy, come over here. Do
Help
this
me
for
out.
me for
Help
free.
me out real quick.
Yeah, I pay for it. I pay for it. I just think that's the right thing to do.
But you pay for it. But you do you always front that cost to the customer, or do you allow some of the easier stuff to slip to and just say that's going to come out of the shop? I'm going to take care of that for the greater
No,
good.
no, I'm talking just like weird things. If I ask them, somebody pulls in,
Sure. Yeah.
I had one here the other day. Contractors fight pulled in with two trucks for lift gates. They wanted them swapped. I called Jason out. And I said, "Hey, go look at them real quick and just tell me how hard it'll be to switch it, so we can give them an idea." And I said, "Write me a thing for 15 minutes." And a lot of times my guys are like, "I ain't writing you a thing for 15 minutes," but I tell them to. You know what I mean? I'm like, "Nope, go ahead and do it anyway." And he told them, and we went on with the job and stuff like that. No, pretty much that's weird stuff. No, if it comes in, say they got a brake noise or anything like that, they get an hour diag for my guys to drive it. That way they have the time that they need to pull the wheels off it or anything like that, rack it up, they get paid for it.
Sure. But on the other side of the coin, you're not hurting for work either. I mean, you're before we got on, your phone's blowing up off the hook, so you're obviously staying busy. Now,
Yeah.
I found if you're not, then there's creative ways of marketing, right? And one of them is like avoiding the resistance. So if you get a lot of calls coming in and you're constantly putting an objection of price up, it's like, well, just get it in real quick and have a couple guys pull the wheel off, take a look at the brakes. How long that take? 10, 15 minutes. And with the thought of we're going to sell them the brakes if it need it. So just different ways of strategizing your business to get to that point. When you get busy, like you don't need to do that. Like you have to, like you said, you have to slow the marketing down. And I feel like if you're using uh, quote unquote free inspection or free diag to get people in the door, well, then you got to kind of stop doing that if you're getting too busy. It's just like with Google ads, right?
Yeah. No, I would agree with that. And this year, um, we've grown down in Farmington. The numbers have. Out here in Brighton, they've shrunk a little bit. I had a little bit of a marketing snafu going on. But business has been overall pretty decent. All the shops around me stay pretty busy. All the good shops, I should say. And I know all them guys, right? Um, you heard the phone call I had with the guy who wanted me to look at his motorhome heater today. There's just no way I could pull somebody off to have him run over here for his motorhome heater. And he could offer me $500. And I tell him, sir, it's not about the money. It's about, I have other customers that are promised to have their vehicles back today. So for me to pull a guy off there to do that, it's not fair to them.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people understand that. But I will tell you, some of these service advisors, owners, whatever, they don't know what word track to use. So they piss people off and they never ever want to come back. You heard what I said to that guy. I mean,
Yeah.
absolutely, we could do it Monday or Tuesday. No problem. We can look at it for you. I guarantee you there's nobody around that's going to be able to do that. The General RV, who's the big RV dealer, they'll tell the guy, "Yeah, it'll be 6 months, buddy. I don't know what to tell you." That's literally what they'll say to the guy.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. I hear that a lot.
Yeah. If we're slow, and another thing is it comes down to training too. Like your front end people comes into training. You're a little bit slow, or your tech, you look out there and you're like, wow, he's got two things to do today on this board. Hey, I'm calling to get an estimate on brakes on my F-150. Uh, we were taught, okay, is it four-wheel or two-wheel ABS? Well, I don't know. That's okay. Go out in the parking lot, crawl underneath it, look at the sensors.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't know how to do that. Say, that's not a problem, sir. We have a hoist open right now. If you want to bring it in, we can get you checked out. Bring it over here right now. A
Yeah.
lot of your service advisors won't do that because they're afraid. And Mike Lee used to always say this: overwhelm the front with the back. He used to say, pump the back, fix the front, pump the back, meaning your job as a service advisor is to overload the back of the shop. You give them so much work that they just keep going, right?
Yes.
Overwhelm them. And a lot of these service advisors, they want to be comfortable, is what I realize. Mine are not that way, but I can't speak for the dealer, but some of the other shops, their service advisors around there are a little lackadaisical. They don't want to get that work in to
It's a
feed the
great
tech.
point. No, I mean, yeah, that's accurate from what I've seen too, and they want to set the expectations and they want to make sure, oh, we're definitely going to be able to fix it today. Like how many times does a car repair actually go perfect? Right? But you're still trying to set these expectations for absolutely no reason. Right? Like even if you tell them, oh, we're absolutely going to get this thing ready to go. It'll be done by 3 o'clock today and everything's going to be perfect and it's going to be fixed. It's like why would you ever want to do that? And then so when they get slow they still want to set this expectation, or I also heard too, they get slow, they don't want to let people know that they're slow, so then they start still scheduling out a couple days. Oh man, we're a little busy today, but I can get you in tomorrow morning, acting like they're busier than they really are, right? Instead of just like take like that's the goes back to the beginning of the podcast, is like lying. Like why are you lying about your ego just won't let you say it? Man, I got nothing going on right now. I got a guy that's like that could take care of it right now. Like, why wouldn't you say that? And then why wouldn't you just keep saying that until you're so overloaded that you can't say it anymore?
Right. And I'll give you a funny thing. And you know what? To put your point on shit happens. So a couple weekends ago, I have a place up in Northern Mission. I was up there and I was on my way home and a freaking deer ran out in front of me and I smoked it with my cyber truck. No getting around. I freaking creamed it. So I'm like sitting there looking at the truck. I'm like, I want to start working on these things anyway. I already got approved by Tesla at the collision shop to buy parts and all that stuff. I'm going to pull it in the barn and take it apart myself so I know what's up with it. So I take it apart. I order all the parts. I'm like, this isn't so bad. Then I'm putting it back together the other day, and I'm putting the camera in the front bumper, and I went to reach for my trim tool, and my dog was behind me. I tripped. I ripped the fucking wires out of the camera, and I'm like thinking to myself, here's a job that I had pretty much saying to myself, I'm driving this thing tonight, right?
Yeah.
I had myself promise I was driving my truck tonight, and then that happened. Okay, I could have easily been a tech in the shop that truck had to be done at 3 o'clock. That happened. Now I understand. I've been a tech, so I understand when my guys come up to me with a broken part and go, yeah, I broke this. What do you do? That's
Nope.
where you need to be
Yeah.
profitable enough so you can buy another part and go on with your life and not scream and yell at the guy. Because tell me what flat rate tech in the world wants to break apart so it takes longer.
Right.
The job takes longer.
Right.
People
Right.
don't realize shit happens.
Yeah. If it happens 3 times in a day, maybe a different conversation. But no, you should, and they shouldn't be scared about it, right? Because how long they're going to sit there and like try to mess with it, try to make it right before they come up and just talk to you about it, right? Because that's what it is. Just stop the bleeding. Let's make it right. And some guys are so fearful of like getting yelled at, right? And they just sit there and mess with it, or they won't say nothing until the end of the day, and then you don't even have the chance to order the part because they're so fearful of like coming up and talking to you. That might just be the new generation too, but
Yeah, right. The tampon kids. My I don't my culture in my shop, I probably come off, very no nonsense on my podcast. I get along with all my employees very well. I'm not going to say I go bowling with them and have chili cookouts and stuff like that, but they all understand me and I understand all of them. We got to get along great. I can call any of them up and say, hey, I need this done, and they'll do it. I don't really have problems with people. Usually that stuff gets weeded out in my organizations without me even getting involved. A lot of times one of the managers will be like, hey, that guy we hired, we tried and stuff like that. He just didn't work. We let him go. I'm like, okay. and they have them do they fire them and they write them out and have an exit interview, and away they go. A lot of times I'm not even involved in getting rid of people, which is a blessing because I had to do it in earlier years. It's not fun for nobody to get rid of somebody or take their job, but
Yeah.
some of these people deserve it.
Well, that's what I mean. In my opinion, that's what a business is supposed to be, and I think there's a lot of confusion, especially online and all these forums about what being a business owner is. And you start listening to what they're saying, like you should just go get a job. You should just go be a manager for another shop because I think you'd be happier, right? You're not the business is running you. You're not running the business, and I think that's where a lot of the negativity comes in because it's just like the not understanding of what your position is, and then something bad happens, they can't afford to fix it, or they're like, why is this happening to me? Or they look at someone more well established and like, oh, you're just an absentee owner living in the ivory tower, like no, like we're still boots on the ground, but it's like there's also that part of it that needs to be taken care of, and someone's got to sit up there and do that, right? There has to be.
Right. Somebody's got to develop new techniques and new procedures in the shop. Or, my thing is we'll have a problem 2 or 3 times, and I'll write up a policy or I'll write up a sheet. Like my one service advisor's memory is not the greatest, and I ask him to do something, he doesn't do it. I come up there and yell and scream at him. I'm like, okay, he's busy during the day. There's phones ringing, people coming in and out. I made up a sheet. I write up a sheet, what I want him to do. I give him a date and a time. I lay it on his desk. When he gets done, he freaking writes the sheet and the time, the date he did it, and everything, gives it back to me. That stopped the whole fucking me arguing with the guy. You never told me that. I forgot. Now I give him the sheet. There's proof. So there is certain things that you do because of people's shortcomings. Nobody's perfect. People are human. And if you think that nobody's going to make a mistake in your organization, you're crazy. Now, you can't overmanage them. You can't overmanage them either, micromanage them. I don't. A lot of times I let the shit go and see how it plays out. Let's face it. Let's be truthful. Like we're not sitting there waiting for something to happen in our shop so we could run and deal with it. I got shit to do, and I don't want daddy syndrome. I
Yeah.
hate that. That's why we
Yeah.
have the managers in place. People are like, you have managers. People can't talk to you. Who do they call you? King Tut, this and that. This guy's a real peach. No, it's like I said at the beginning. It's just, it keeps that level of chaos away from you so you can do what you do and let people do what you pay them to do.
I think and on that point, I think some people just like to be the daddy though. So when they get to be, yeah, that's what it is. And you know what, I say it in a negative connotation because I view it that way, because I can't stand it either. Like you're here to do a job, and like for me, when I work for someone, like I didn't want anybody to bother me like I'm figuring it out on my own, and that's my own personality, so I kind of expect that for everybody else. So the daddy syndrome drives me freaking crazy too. But there's some guys that maybe just really enjoy it. They just really like the fact of like, you can't do this without me, and that's why I'm here. Good for you, man.
Well, the thing is about it, it's true. Mike Lee used to say this, and man, I remember this clear as day. He'd say, if you're a business owner and you're going to your shop to help your people know what you're going to get, you're going to get fixed cars. We all know you can fix cars if you own the place, probably. Okay. But if you're not running the business, it's up there freaking running it, it's going itself, doing its own thing. Okay. And I truly believe that. And I said in my post the other day or on my podcast the other day, just because your name's on the front of the building does not need to be, you need to be involved in every little freaking decision that goes on in that place. Let people hire the right people, pay them the good wage, and let them do their job. Okay. Because the number one thing we all want, and Steve Jobs said it the best, the one thing you cannot buy is time. Right. And people
Absolutely.
said, what does success look to you like to you, Kevin? I said, it's not a pile of money, it's a pile of time.
Time. Absolutely, man.
Right. Started taking Fridays off. And my guys don't call me unless the place is burning down. Am I being an asshole? No. What I tell them is, listen, if something happens Friday that you guys think you need to talk to me about, look at the situation and say, will this last until Monday? And chances are it will. That way you're not ruining my weekend. Because as a business owner, hey, we left the oil out of freaking Mrs. Smith's car. Now it needs a motor. Is it going to change anything on Friday or Monday?
Yeah.
So let me start Monday shitty. Let me enjoy my weekend.
Let me ruin Monday myself and be a real man.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. As a
Oh
shop
yeah.
owner, you don't want
Yeah.
bad news sometimes. Surprises suck.
Yeah. I mean, and it's got to get dealt with, but there's no, yeah, you're right. There's no reason for, well, it just helps the people grow too. Like that's what it is. And growing is painful and it hurts, right? but that's what you're doing. You're growing people that are like can manage that stuff. And then the next time around, they're like, "Oh yeah, we've blown up an engine before. It's not a big deal." Kevin's gonna be a little upset, but I think he'll be fine. Let's just get the engine ordered, and we'll make sure it's and then you get in. And how much like better do you feel on Monday? Hey, so this happened. We blew up an engine. Engine's on the way. It should be here Wednesday. We got it scheduled for Friday. You're like, fuck, you guys are rock stars, man. Like,
Right. Thank you. We had a situation here at the collision shop where we were putting a roof on a van, and the welding blanket dropped down a little bit, and a piece of slag fell on the dashboard, melted the dashboard. You know how much that dashboard is on that the van? $3,000. 3,018. I got the receipt. I just got it this morning. You know what I said? Shit happens.
shit happens, man.
If it didn't happen to me before, I've blown out windows on trucks, welding, shit like that. I said, shit happens. It sucks, but we can afford it because we're profitable. I don't want to afford it. Don't keep fucking doing this. Don't get me wrong. But I'm not going to freaking freak out and fire people over something like that. The guy didn't come in the morning and go, I'm going to weld this roof on this van and melt the dashboard. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull $3,000 out of the account because I don't like Kevin.
Right. So, he came over to me. He's like, dude, you won't believe what happened. I'm like, try me. We walked out there. And, Jim was out there and he was about ready to freaking have a stroke. I'm like, guys, I remember welding on a top kick truck, putting a dome on it. That was wrecked years ago. And a piece of slag fell and blew out the window. And the window was $800. I thought it was the end of my life. It is what it is. So it's the way I look at it.
It's awesome. Well, Kevin, I appreciate your time, man.
No, this is great. This is probably one of the most insightful podcasts I've been on. This is great.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. I know you're a busy guy, so I'll let you get back to doing what
All
you
right.
do, man. I appreciate all the content. And if anybody wants to find you, track you down, look you up, you're on TikTok,
Yeah,
Repair Shop
Repair Shop.
Reckoning. Is that
Yep.
the best way to find you?
Yeah, that, Facebook, Instagram, all that.
Cool.
So, all right. Thanks for
Awesome.
having me on, man.
Listen, if you're anything like me, you know the struggles of inconsistent car count and tight margins. That's where Repair Shop of Tomorrow comes in. They help shop owners like us increase sales, improve efficiency, and grow our businesses with proven strategies. Check them out at repairshopoftomorrow.com today and start growing tomorrow.